The SMP explained it in an absurd way, maybe even the worst. Ever since the big bang of the Dream SMP happened, it started at some simpler multiplayer where they just go and hang out. Though over the course of the year, it just shifts to like almost a series of its own. Cover of the Rise of Dream, it attracted many of the YouTubers who plays Minecraft, including Tommy and Technoblade, Frost, Quackity, and so on. Today, we will be focusing on the event that will be known as the Red Banquette, as that was the Dream SMP's first and only anniversary celebration to this day, though it went very, very wrong. Hosted by Eggpie members Bad Boy Halo, Frost, and Pong. For those who don't know, Eggpie was comprised of members who were influenced by the egg in various ways, though it's mainly through a parasitic one. And due to his antagonistic nature and world-dominating dreams like every kind of evil empire would, it's not surprised that it's gonna have a negative impression on the world. And that day, it will be one of the greatest masterpieces, or so their last one. Rooms were decorated, dance floors were constructed, and a grand table just for the invited members. And literally a not so suspicious decoration over here, sure it's gonna be luxurious. Now the YouTubers in the Red Banquette, invited YouTubers included are Arid, Frost, Captain Buffy, Foolish Gamers, Hanex, Rose, Fundy, and the maid H-Bar, Nihachu, and finally George Not Found. Planned members include Filza, though due to the fact that he was supposed to be mysterious, and the Red Banquette involves communication between each other, and so he gave up. Uninvited members, though still present, are Quackity, Purple, Technoblade, and Rambo. We'll be focusing on a few perspectives and mix them together so we can get a better point of view of how this event goes. And mainly, it was based on two of them, which is Bad Boy Halo and Buffy. The hosting members prepared the event and waited for the guests to arrive. Bad Boy Halo ordered the other two to look for anyone who had arrived there, and it was shown that Nihachu had arrived first. He then goes Disney villain mode for a few seconds.
Everything going according to plan. Everything's going according to plan. Oh, this is turning into a mighty fine adventure.
But he was unaware of the fact that Nihachu was meters behind him, looking at the facilities of the Red Banquette. He turned and got a bit scared, but seeing the situation, he gets his facade ready, introduced her the facilities of the Red Banquette. Even though it's gotta be not much there, it still impressed her nonetheless. He gave Nihachu food and appetizers for her to enjoy, because there's not much of the members in there. It's kind of boring when you're the first to arrive. Thanks to game mechanisms, there are water bottles and steaks. Soon, the other invited members arrived, and more things happened. They chat to each other about stuff. I don't really know. I'm not going to talk that in much detail. Why the hell do I have to do that stuff there? This is supposed to be a statue room, and now here's Awesome Dude's handsome body. Bad Boy Halo finished talking to Nihachu. Don't know who to talk, but he knows a few of those. He poked at Awesome Dude and lured into a conversation. And seconds later, Awesome Dude has his Chad-built bath at the cauldron, and henceforth, Sam-flavored water is born. And he didn't regret that, and they continued chatting, and they seemed to get along with each other. Fundy had arrived in the middle of the discussion, and he got two suits. He has a businessman outfit, but he still enjoys the white and pink outfit. They then enjoyed honey hot ciders, but the way they slurp made someone feel a bit disgusted by that. Womp womp. Fundy demands Eric's Rolex, and Eric obliged. In return, Fundy gave some Rolexes too. Captain Puppy is filled with envy because she didn't get a Rolex, but it's time for them to get to the dance floor, and they enjoyed it to the point that they forgot what they are supposed to do. Words were exchanged, they danced, and they were aroused by others' outfit. Fundy, being the grandchild, still exhibits childish behavior, but don't judge him. He's having his moments of his life, but soon found the dance floor devoid of any fun because they are discussing about food. George Not Found was the last to arrive, and without an outfit of his own, because he was the last to get invited, and this left him in a hurry. it's just only around a few or just one day before this banquet even began, and poor sleeping schedules does not help either, and so we have this. All Sandy was suitless, and he had to retrieve his suit where it's left in the storage, but before that, he somewhat took some kind of dump or something else in the cauldron, and so it tastes weird. Oh, look at this single, whatever the hell jukebox. What's it gonna be used for? Well, Fred Nardishbarn has a second job and this is DJ, and he is going to play one of his lit remixes over, and that is called Mall, because he went to a mall. He began to dance a bit off there because he's drunk, along with many other members who just danced and jumped on the background. At the same time, Bad Boy Halo discussed about how the banquet was going, and it seems like they're running low on appetizers. No wonder why they're absolutely going drunk in the dance floor. And now it's time for dinner. Now here is a depiction of how the Red Banquet's grand table seating arrangement goes, which is absolutely useless. Once they're onto seating positions, they're greeted by red soup, which is made by Punk. Props to him. Bad Boy Halo delivers a speech saying that they let bygones be bygones, and he also saved the best for last, but before that, he asked if there is anyone in the Red Banquet wanted to go and deliver a speech to the invited members in the grand table, and foolish gamers decided to go first. And it can be simplified as even if they wronged him, he would still give them another chance. Eric followed suit and spoke from the core of his heart that he's certainly happy about the hostilities of the DSMB had absolutely ceased, and thinks that it is the new chapter of the DSMB as a whole, or so he thought. Pong being the third to say, and recites a wise man once told him that people change, and he sure confirms that. Puffy steps forth. Being a former member of the EGPA, seeing them turning a new leaf sure brings them together, and she hopes that it will be their stance for eternity, and also road trip. Originally, George Not Found does not want to give a speech there, but thanks to peer pressuring, he just did that anyway, and he was met with an applause, and what he said was greatly exaggerated. He talked about why he is late in the Red Banquet, then he reveals the room there, which is certainly positive, no shit Sherlock, and finally he asks what the soup is. Punk immediately replied to George Not Found that these soup are beet soup. I don't know if it is his accent or it's beetroot soup there, I don't really know, but it's up to him. Also, little trivia, those soup are chemical free. And finally, this is where George Not Found's speech as a whole concludes. When he got back to his seat, he was cheered upon so that he can feel better, and I appreciate that. Now, without further ado, it is time for Bad Boy Halo's second speech because no one wanted to talk anyway. He laid a very perfect, slow and dedicated sentence, and it's gonna take a dark turn from that point onwards. He grins far more better than any scheming villain would, using his power of monologue. He talks more progressively slow while lava fills around the Red Banquet, cutting the invited members the main route to fresh ground, except for a red vine there, but they didn't see that one anyway. Moreover, the fact that they're emotionally attached and absolutely plastered, they do not know what the fuck is happening around them, makes the plan work, literally. And not so long after, he abruptly uttered the words. This is where the non-EGPAR members finally realized what was happening, and they panicked. They ran and shouted, screaming for their lives. Some of them even tried to get past the lava wall, but it's too dangerous. And they didn't see that one vine of that because it's clearly hid. At the same time, we had Rambo camouflaging on the top of the red, whatever the hell pillar that is. He couldn't help but to watch that hell unfold right in front of his fucking eyes there. And he chose not to intervene there because it might end bad for him. Captain Puffy, confirming her suspicions, reaches out for the secret chest that she had hid beneath the table of the Red Banquet and scrambles for reserved armor, only to find flies instead. Out of nowhere, Bad Boy Halo taunts her and puts on the very armor she was looking for. The reason why they got the armor? Well, look at what the presumed resistance members who's wearing the armor. Look closely. It's no such a surprise. It's Hana X Rose. So, she fake planned that she's also frustrated to the egg and got joined to resistance members and got note of the information. She was told not to reveal that, but she revealed that anyway. Hence it makes sense seeing her speak in a somewhat regretful tone. Let me recite that for you to listen. With that said, here starts the what so-called sacrifices, but there are another obstacle in the way. All Samdu had a backup plan. He didn't trust the Igpar either, and he told the crowd that he thinks that they are so fed up with Igpar's tomfuckeries that they can blow the egg for good. The Igpar reasonably panicked, and when he pushed the button, oh,
What?
it didn't work out as I would expect it would be.
What?
It wasn't the first time that the egg had actually saw these bombs being blown out. It's actually revealed that Quackly had tried to bomb that, and after that kind of thing they were just barely survived. The Igpire actually took proper preparations so that whenever there's another wave of TNT, it would have just survived, like nothing just ever happened to it. He sarcastically thanked them before they actually carried out the thing now. There's no joking about it. And it is revealed that the speeches are to lure them over to a bit of a state of comfort there. Now with that clear, starts off with the first one, which is Eric, where he's the lead of the Dream SMP, and so if he is executed first, then they can rule the world. But foolish gamers decides to step up and text the boot instead. And he wasn't as foolish as you thought. He's going to do some kind of Darman thing so that those kind of guys can live for another day. Even though Captain Buffy tried to protest against the decision, she was ultimately powerless to prevent that from absolutely happening, because she was absolutely unarmed, unarmored, and not even a single weapon in her hands. But before Foolish Gamers was executed, the Igpars decided to play with Puffy mentally. They said that Foolish's death is because of hers, even though she had done literally nothing, or such as that, because it was Foolish who voluntarily gave himself at that moment, not because of Mother's peer pressure. And so, Foolish Gamers had lost his first canon life. When he responds, the egg was already in his mind, and what can I describe as gaslighting started happening, and it worked out for a short period of time. You'll know that later. On the other hand, the Igpire was picky after Foolish Gamers was executed, and they decided to choose who should be executed next there just for the sacrifice for the egg. But they were stopped in their tracks by an uninvited person, and that man is Quackity. Quackity and Bad Boy Halo had a long rivalry between each other, and it wasn't even the first time they had confronted each other. So when Quackity had appeared there, Bad Boy Halo thinks he was just a little teeny weeny nonsense until Quackity got his diamond set on, albeit is lacking a diamond helmet, just like the same as Bad Boy Halo and the other ones to say. But this still ain't doing even convince them, because he was still powerless. And a short ensuing argument happened. I'm just going to skip the fucking chit-chatting, and until Bad Boy Halo points out the fact that Quackity should have bought more than Quackity himself to confront them. And yes, he's absolutely right, because Quackity had bought someone. And the first one is his arch enemy. It is the pig. It is the legend. It is the orphan obliterator, the spider slicer, the potato king, calculative manipulator. It is Technoblade. see him on the opposite side, you know you're f***ed. And that's how the Empire is feeling right now, because this legend is literally here. And this time, he's on Quackity's side. The Empire are already confused, like as if why Technoblade had joined Quackity's side. Technoblade told that it was the better option, because the Empire is already like the worst. Of course, Quackity is already somewhat annoying or kind of frustrating, to say at least there. He kind of still prefer Quackity because he likely had the better outcome. Also, he got a squad of hound dogs. These dogs are here to remind the Empire that, alright, playtime's over. We're literally serious with that. Stop your tomfooleries right now. But the Empire is still stubborn. They will not even move an inch. They do not know about that. They absolutely wanted to go and sacrifice to get the benefits about that, but no. It's not gonna let that happen anyways there, because it's not gonna be absolutely worth it. What is guaranteed? What does it warrant? It doesn't even warrant murder or sacrifices just for the sake of benefits of their own. And like I said before, those guys are literally stubborn. And they still like not even gonna be convinced that anything exists there. And it's also a numerical advantage and somewhat even in items. So Quackity decided to get, well, purpled to the red Banquette in his side. And this one shocked the Empire, especially Babble Halo, who asked why Purple had to like chose the side there, but keep in mind that Purple, well, is a mercenary, and mercenaries always like to get the thing with the most money garnered. So it's no surprise he's off Quackity. There's also a different reason behind that. You see, Quackity was off to building his nation of Nas Navidas, and when he's off to make his state prosperous, it also came with dirty tactics in his own there. Although it can be going for a more humane one, he'll actually go off with a dark one. So, 1 week before the Red Banquette happened, he just went off to Purple's UFO and just like prepared himself with multiple amounts of TNT in his side there. And once he's off to the UFO, just plastered it everywhere. Purple came back for his supposed hibernation. Seeing where this is going to happen, he opted for negotiations. And he's likely off for a better option when it gets to Quackity. Well, the consequences still gotta happen, though it's reduced. And so we're up to this moment. Bad Boy Halos wasn't even like eager to like give up in his place, saying that they're still going to outnumber them, though they will never know what the is gonna happen to them next there. There's no need to go and explain that anyways. There's already another guy who just says it all. Captain Buffy, saying the opportunity, gets the strength potion, smashed it, gets the netherite axe out of nowhere, well, we tell that later, and ran across the Red Banquette onto an unprepared Ampharos and sliced that pussy out of existence. The reason as if why Captain Puffy had an axe, even though that's not prohibited, it's actually from Quackity. You see, I somewhat skipped a bit too far there, and I just missed a bit of a pivotal point. When Babbo, Halo, and Quackity arguing, Quackity decided to tell them the egg kind of thing there to say about instead of importance, and this distracted almost the entirety of the Empire side, except for Pong. Well, he did not choose to tell them, and the reason's up to yours to interpret, and in such case there, this gave Quackity the opportunity to give Puffy an axe. Also, they also gave her some of the kind of other essentials, like a gappos and something else like that. And so, this one able to like leave them off their guard so low, and so we have this kind of moment here. So the dominoes began to fall on the Empire side. Quackity ordered his supporters to attack. Tenderly began shooting rocket launchers, while the crossbow, which is Suchi's dog, is set down to its density and the wiggleness. And then the other one's just fighting each other like nothing else. What the hell's going on? There's just even on points that there's a lot of potential, but it's just absolute chaos. So it's just nowhere except for just Technoblade shooting and Quackity and Babbo Halo fighting each other. The other ones they're just R&R or something else there. It's just like a broken play. Now, still, in this chaos there, they're able to like scare the Empire off, who escaped via a secret tunnel. Quackity wasn't going to let them escape that easily, so he sent Purple to catch any kind of those things off, but he does not know what the hell is that maze for, so he just lost track. And for the Empire, they're able to like fast and quick enough, and they reach ground. As they reach it, they're just like scattered off, split off, and ran for the sake of their lives. And it is at this point that you're able to see a bit of an insight about Babbo Halo and the egg. with this unbalanced oval piece of shit being surrounded by his enemies, Rat Boy Halo was left somewhat in a confused state. At some point there, he really wants to get the kind of rewards, but with it being like heavily defended, he couldn't even retrieve the egg back, or else he's gonna be dead for his last life, along with Jace like Mexican Dream and Silver at that time being. So he just simply left confused. He slowly breaks off the chain that the egg had implemented him through. So he just gets a boat, builds a boat, and sails towards the Solchester Sea. And so ends the tale of Bad Boy Halo and the Red Banquette. Alright, how do you feel about it? On the other hand, the resistance members were absolutely speechless over the fact of what they have achieved. Now they had the egg, which had don't move, nor like go and order the thing to attack there. Those subordinates have been already ran off, so scattered off. And so they discuss how to deal with this piece of shit, that is the egg. All Sam do with his awesome ways, he decided to, well, lock the egg from literally spreading its influence over the world. With the discussions concluded, they split off to two groups. Purple led the survivors to safety, while Quackity, Awesome Dude, and Technoblade were just left there and just discuss over other matters that we never know. Once Purple led the surviving members of the Red Banquette to ground there, they took beetroot juice as a remembrance and dispersed off like nothing else happened, so they're like traumatized. But no one would have been as severely traumatized as Captain Buffy, who went through a bit of a mix-up of an existential crisis and guilt trip, and also in a state of confusion. And yeah, I could even describe that as well, because it's just it's so absolutely messy and confusing. I don't know what to describe. Though she eventually concludes that she was going to do anything to reach for her goal, even if it means for other characters' canon lives. And so the day of the Red Banquette ended. As promised, Awesome Dude did start to conceal off the egg from the rest of the Dream SMP. At one point he found a confused Rambo, whereas the logic that would be a Rock state when he's participating on the Red Banquette, where Awesome Dude give Rambo a tour of this so-called historical monument. They try to reach the grand table without placing any blocks through the lava wall, and just so happens to find the red vine we have mentioned minutes prior, and they just walked and talked once they reached it and got the fuck out via the tunnel where Quackly had gone to save the once trapped Red Banquette members. Fortunate enough, Awesome was able to conceal the egg off, and its influence, well, just stagnated. It's just like an air conditioner, just like I'm opening right now, but instead of the colds or comforts, it's just basically a stupid ideology. With its influence supplies being cut off, the remaining things on the overworld just basically dispersed off like nothing else but small pellets of those kind of things like atoms. Their influences over the subordinates just basically just dwindled and just became nothing, and they went back to being their normal self. Eventually, they and the other members that are present in the Red Banquette came over and apologized to each other, and so ushered in a new era of everlasting peace that would end in no time, I guarantee you. That's what you would think is the Dream SMP, do you know? And basically Dream SMP is just basically revolving around the steady basis of what is called conflict. Characters of the DSMP usually kept a blind eye to the surroundings and basically let their diabolic, ambitious, and miraculous spots run wild, and as such create catharsis that made you stick to a lord to the very end of your life. And this time, the one that seems to push the conflict flow to the maximum the most, well, it's Quackity. See, I told you that there's going to be the last Lavedas thing there, and I told you that those duty tactics. And now with them being absolutely successful, now what will he do to them? For people, he did promise the money, but he also had another surprise. He went off down the stairs where he laid the redstones toward the purple UFO without Purple noticing, and once with a flick of a button, the entirety of the UFO is blown to ashes. Purple is literally fuming, but this is where Quackly wanted him. He said that they will be using the money they have, and then they would literally go and rebuild the kind of Las Vedas, and in turn, he would give Purple a plot of land just so Purple can be part of history once again. And Purple just accepted it anyway, because it's just the better one anyways. It's a lose-lose situation. For Technoblade, for the Red Banquette, Quackity and Technoblade's relations have somewhat been repaired, and Quackity decided to use the repaired relations he had with Technoblade to, well, enact his revenge. He went off to Technoblade and then just chatted with him for a few times, and he suggested Technoblade to go visit Dream. And sure enough, few real life days after, he still set sail onto, well, Pandora's Vault, where Quackity and All-Seventy combined forces to literally conceal Technoblade off, and then just locked him forever with Dream. And finally, this wasn't even as much as his subordinate anyway, though it's quite worth mentioning as well. Foolish gamers. Now, so previously, I've told that he's got gaslighted, blah 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 bullshit. So, a few days after the Red Banquet, he just did another daily routine at looking at his buildings. There, he stumbled upon Quackity. There they chat, and it goes fine until Quackity pulled this sentence through. This shocked and surprised foolish gamers. He couldn't believe it. Quackity could have saved them more earlier, and no one would be absolutely injured, but he just waits for Foolish to be executed before he do his job. And with this logic, there's no way you could have flawed the fact that he just have done this with intention. And then how the situation progresses was somewhat on par with Purple's one. It can be basically summarized with aggression, and then find it unrewarding to kill the man, and then was faced with a different multi-beneficial and useful choice where they opted for it. It all makes sense when you realize not only Quackity is off to go and save and destroy the egg once and for all, he also uses the Red Banquet as a tool, just so he can bend the others to his will and get what he wanted. And so that ends the Red Banquet as a whole, because there's nothing else worth to be mentioned about, though I'll be missing a few anyway. Don't know where to conclude this, though at least I hope I made your day better.